Mick Abel and Zebby Matthews made their major league debut this weekend, and you might be shocked at which one pitched better. And then we have a bunch of great players that you need to add heading into Week 8 on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino, here as always with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Wadney. And if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below to subscribe to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. Or if you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you could do that for us. And guys, lastly, what's most important, join us on the Insider's Track, where you're going to get that competitive advantage over your league mates. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. And Matt, I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit shocked. Mick Abel winds up getting the call for those Phillies over there, which you're quite familiar with. And Zebby Matthews as well got the call. Hit us at a weird time. We didn't really get to talk about them too much. And Matt, why don't you break down the guy who had the way better debut, shockingly?
Yeah, and probably my number one stream for next week is Mick Abel of the Philadelphia Phillies. So here's the thing. I actually didn't think he was going to have as good of a start as he did. So like Mick has always been a good pitching prospect, but never like, hey, I'm going to come out my first MLB start and get 9 strikeouts, not give up a single run, and just completely shut out the Pirates, who are a pretty half decent team. On top of that, going up against Paul Skeens on the other side. So like everything was stacked in the direction of Mick Abel just being completely demolished today, just with all the pressure. Comes out, ties the record for most strikeouts in an MLB debut by a Philly in like forever. And it's just a great day. Dude just stayed absolutely calm. I watched the game. I was supposed to be at the game, but that's a whole nother story. Anyway, I digress. What do you call it? Essentially, the dude looked calm, cool, collected, and he just said, yo, I'm going to pretty much do what I've been doing this year, and I'm going to do it in the majors. And that's exactly what he did, which is crazy because this year in the minors alone, 46 innings pitched, 51 strikeouts, a 272, a 253 ERA with a 1-2 whip. The whip's high. The whip's kind of been high throughout his whole career. Throughout the minors, he's like a 1.410 whip. But the ERA has actually been, pretty mixed bag of tricks, especially the year before in 24, where he had a 6.46 ERA through 108 innings. And then the year before that, a 4.13 through 113 innings pitched. But here's the thing, though. When you're in the minors, you see a pitcher, you don't always get the full picture. They're working on releases, they're working on grips, they're working on something. So the ERA may not be directly correlated with the talent and what they could actually do. I think Abel said, yo, I'm coming up this year and I'm going to keep it. That's exactly what he did today. And it kind of supports what you see when Fangraph gives an analysis, right? 55 out of 60 fastball, 50 out of 55 slider, 50 out of 50 curveball, change up 30 out of 40, command 30 out of 40. The dude looked like he was placing the ball wherever he wanted today. Everything just moved in the right way for this kid. I don't know how long he's up. He's only up for as long as Nola's down. They have too much of a solidified kind of 5, unless they move to a 6-man rotation, and I don't foresee it happening. If anything, he's just an ad for next week and then a drop right after he gets sent down.
Yeah, man, great take on Abel, and he just had everything working in this start against the Pirates. His big thing was always walks. He always was walking too many guys, didn't walk anybody in this start. Fastball was sitting over 97 on average, had the breaking stuff working, had everybody swinging and missing. I just don't see how they don't give this kid another chance. It looks like it will come next week against the Athletics, which the Athletics are 2-8 in their last 10. They really haven't been hitting that well. Like you said, Matt, at 6-man, it's been in talks, and you might just have to do it with Abel and just see how this rides out. The kid's just doing so well. He made a lot of changes, as you talked about, coming into 2025. Abel was the number one prospect coming, into, when he got drafted coming up, through the minors, had a few bumps along the way. He's still only 23 years old. Mick Abel is 26% owned on Yahoo. I think we go out there, like I said, Matt, snag him for his next start, see where the wind takes us. He's definitely not a drop. Don't get rid of him. I think he's going to be back around next week, like Matt said as well. Let's move on to the other, prospect who made his major league debut. Didn't go as well as Abel's. It's Zebby Matthews of those Minnesota Twins. Only went through 3 innings, 4 runs, 5 hits, 3 walks. This is the pressure. Matt talked about it a little bit with Abel. Didn't affect Abel, but that big league debut puts a lot of pressure on you. And Matthews didn't have success, against those Brewers. But down in the minors, he had a 1.93 ERA. He was striking everybody out. The command was really good. He gets the Royals next week. Royals are, sometimes they're tough. Let's see, how have they been of late? 4-6 over the last 10, but overall 26-22 on the year. They got the pass squash. They got Michael Garcia. They got Bobby Witt, of course, their anchor. Salvi's been a mixed bag this year, but it's not an easy lineup to navigate. I think we hold Zebby Matthews. If this Royal start is tough, then it's time to talk about cutting him. Let's see who his matchup is after that as well. But he's got to show us something here in that next start because, the 5 strikeouts were cool in the 3 innings, but, nothing else was really going well for Zebby. I think he's a hold for now. We got to, I think even an ad at that, like we're talking about today, let's add him for, that Kansas City Royal start. And at least throw him out there and see how he does because there's a lot of upside here. We talked about, he's a high-end prospect, has good stuff. Low ERA in the minors, good strikeout stuff. Let's give him at least one more. And I think at 30% owned on Yahoo, who's out there in a lot of leagues. Let's add Zebby Matthews for that next start. Matt, I think you're muted, my brother.
Thank you. So I like everything you said, and I'm on the same page. I just look at it like this. You're not going to let his first 3 innings of his career define, the rest of the season. Like, these things happen even to the best of us. You're going to, Garrett Cole never had a bad game. You're smoking some funny stuff if that's the case. Like, it's just Zebby Matthews just got lit up and it was a decent matchup for him. So I'm still going to roll him out there. I mean, Kansas City is good, but also too, it's not like they're like this team that like has mind-blowing talent. It's really just like 2.5 players at this point. So I am okay with this next matchup. Let's see what happens. Maybe you don't start him, depending on, what your week looks like. But like, hey, if it's the end of the week, which it looks like it's going to be since he pitched today, you're going to just say, okay, if I need the Ks and I don't really care about the ERA and whip, then roll him out there. If not, maybe be a little conservative and see what it looks like and then start him next week based off of the performance this week. But, that's really all it is. I'm going to move on. I'm going to talk about Jordan Romano. So news came through today that Jose Alvarado came up with PEDs, is going to be suspended for 80 games. So what does that? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that goes without saying. I don't even need to play the drop. But Jordan Romano steps into a juicy situation. So with Romano, he was already starting to force himself back into the closer consideration before this whole debacle of PEDs, and now it's more of, hey, he's locked and loaded. He hasn't actually given up a run in the last 6 innings he's pitched. He also, out of the 6 innings, he has 10 Ks. And he has 4 saves, if I'm not mistaken, which I believe I'm right with, including today. 3 saves in the last week. So he is ready and rearing to go. And I think that we're ready to see a turnaround at everything I thought he was going to be, going into the season. He's not really providing a lot of hard contact. The average exit velocity is sitting at 88 miles an hour. His fastball is at 95. He's getting guys to whiff 31% of the time. I'd like to see a little bit more ground ball action, being that he pitches most of his time in the bank, but it's okay. But getting great extension and again reducing that hard hit percentage as well at 38%. I love all of that. I think everything is coming around. We also got to remember he barely pitched in 24. Now he's starting to get that get right. Everything is trending in the right direction. Literally, he is 44% owned as of 56% owned as of today. I guess the Alvarado news jumped it up. But it's time to add him everywhere. He should be 100% owned. A team that's probably going to win 80-plus games is going to give Jordan Romano an opportunity to go out there and get a whole bunch of saves. So add him immediately. Coming up next, I'll let you, Dom, comment on Jordan Romano. And then we got guys like Doval, Will Vest, and Surprisingly enough, even Ezekiel Tovar is at the point where we're allowed to talk about him on this show, all coming up next.
And guys, the NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers a highlight worthy performance, major momentum shifts, and can't miss moments. Whether it's a game winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip off and live with player props, performance trends, and same game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. Which players are showing up in the biggest moments, and how could tracking their trends help you build your next bet? What would it look like to combine live props, bets mid-game based on how the action unfolds? If you've got a read on who's heating up, why not back it up with the same game parlay? How could $200 in bonus bets add to the excitement if your first $5 bet hits? And guys, how about them Knicks, man? I'm betting on the Knicks for everything. You know, me and Matt are New Yorkers. Well, Matt was born in New York. He ain't over here no more. But how about them Knicks, man? I'm rooting on the Knicks for everything. You know, we're taking Towns, we're taking Jalen Brunson for assists and points, and all that fun stuff. So let's go Knicks. New to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. And guys, if you haven't already, you got to give us a chance on the Insider Track. You know, when you guys join up on the Insider Track, you're going to get exclusive access to Matt and I. When we do these waiver wire ranking episodes, we're going to give you a detailed breakdown on how you should be prioritizing these guys and a little bit more than we can add in these 30-minute episodes. You're also going to get instant call-up notifications when these top prospect calls up. You're going to know before anybody in your league. And, when you're on the Insider Track, it's just that little secret weapon that's going to help you win your fantasy league. So the link is in the bio wherever you're listening, watching, and it's available on any of our social media platforms. And all right, Matt, let's jump back in here. Let me give my take on Jordan Romano here. I'm with you. Alvarado's not there anymore. Maybe Kirkland gets mixed in a little bit here or there, but Romano's been the guy. Matt, you talked about of late, literally since April 22nd, the day before that was on April 19th, Romano gave up 6 runs. The game after that, the game he pitched after that on April 22nd, he's been lights out since then. It's been 8.2 innings, 10 strikeouts, a .99 whip, 104 ERA, and batters are hitting 167 against Romano during that time. It just took him a little bit to adjust this year. There's a lot of guys. Look at Class A. He's adjusted. It just takes time, and these closers get such a small sample size at a time. It's usually 1 inning at a time. It's going to take time for his numbers to look better, but 56% owned on Yahoo. He's still out there in a lot of leagues. Matt, you mentioned plays with a great team in those Phillies, so go add him now. I'm getting tired of talking about this next guy. You guys got to go out there and add him so we can stop talking about him every week. It's Will Vest. Detroit Tigers, only 30% owned on Yahoo. I don't know what we're doing at this point. The numbers on the year are fantastic. 1.74 ERA, 106 whip, 20 innings, 24 strikeouts. He's got 4 saves and 3 wins. He's got a save here as we're recording on Sunday. There's just not much else to add at this point. We've talked about Will Vest a lot. If you're new here and you don't know about Will Vest, he's closing for the Tigers, which, the Tigers have been fantastic. 31 wins, 16 losses, 7-3 in their last 10. Do they have the most wins in baseball? I'm actually checking here. I think they do. Yeah. So the team that has the most wins in baseball, the guy that's closing most of their games for them, 70% available on Yahoo. I'm just going to leave it at that. Go pick them up now. Matt, I think you're muted again, my brother.
Darn, Mike. Oh, man. I was saying, you're right. I mean, at this point, it's getting to a point where what are we doing here?
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. I mean, look, I get it too. Sometimes you have the hesitation of, what are you supposed to do? Am I really supposed to trust this guy? But I mean, hey, he's getting the opportunity. He's being successful. What's the worst that happens? You drop him once he cools off. Do it now. This is baseball for you. Well, let's move on. Let's talk about a closer here. Camilo Doval of the San Francisco Giants. So here's the fun part about Doval. Doval is looking like he's coming up in the back and sneaking his way back into that closer role after losing it in 24 to Ryan Walker. And Ryan Walker has looked like caca-doo-doo as of late. And you know what? It's pretty much this whole year. It's been bad. He's blown a whole bunch of saves. Out of the last 10 saves, save opportunities or appearances, period, he's blown 4 of them. That's bad. Ryan Walker is just not looking good. Like, look, I'm going to count how many he's actually, blown in these regards, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 wonderful blown saves in 25. That bad. What does that tell you? Tells you Camilo Doval, who's pitching his butt off right now, is about to get it. The only reason Ryan Walker got a save today was because Doval was not available. Other than that, what are you going to do? Doval is posting a 1.25 ERA on the season with 19 Ks through 21 innings, has 5 saves, 3 wins, and over the last month, he has not given up a run at all through 13 innings with 14 strikeouts, I might add, posting a sub-1 whip on the month. Doval looks like his old self, and he needs to be added immediately. He's 48% owned and is about to steal the job back. Ryan Walker, I think, was just a wonderful, wonderful surprise for everybody last year, but was not able to keep it going. I had him ranked outside of my top 12 in the closers for a reason. I did not believe in the talent. So here we go. Camilo Doval saying, give me this back. I'm ready. I'm here. 48% owned. Literally add him everywhere.
Matt, great take on Doval. And I just think everyone forgets going into 2024, Doval was a consensus top 10 closer. He had 3 straight great years, was coming off an all-star year in 23. He just got his groove back. You ever see the Emperor's New Groove? Cusco. He got his groove back. We're going to start calling Doval Cusco. That's his new nickname. I'm coining that one. So, Mr. Doval, Cusco over here, like I said, he's got his groove back. Matt, you mentioned the numbers on the year. Doval is 48% owned on Yahoo. If you missed out on Jordan Romano, I'm going to Doval. I think the kid's going to be great for the rest of the year. Should be universally owned. But I want to sneak this next guy in because I'm excited to talk about him. My boy's back, Ezekiel Tovar of the Rockies. He's a little bit, he just misses the cutoff, but I'm sneaking him into the show anyway. 62% owned on Yahoo. Just came off the IL. The big thing with Tovar is he's probably dropped in a lot of leagues. A lot of owners, including myself, had to make tough decisions on getting him off of the IL. I know he was dropped in a bunch of leagues. He came out in, his actually it was the second game off the IL on the 17th. Went 5 for 6, 2 runs, a homer, 2 RBIs. He hit second in both of the games that he's been back in. The kid's going to be really, really good. He had a strong showing last year. He's got a lot of speed that is still untapped yet in the bigs. He's got pop too, plays, half his games in cores. Tovar to me is somebody that's probably like 80-85% owned. And if he keeps playing the way that we know he can, and he's hitting for power, he's stealing bags, he's, giving us average, he's hitting second in this lineup, could potentially be a 5-ish tool kind of player. Go and pick up Tovar everywhere. The kid is going to be really, really good.
Yeah, completely agree. Tovar was somebody that was a riser coming into the season for me specifically. Yeah, bought in on the talent. And you know what? I think that if it wasn't for the injury, we wouldn't even be having this conversation because he'd be at 98% owned already. And going into draft season, he was. So Tovar is just somebody that is just should not be dropped and should be widely owned. So let's just change that and just enjoy the lovely mistake that somebody else made and just, laugh at them the whole way to the bank in the championship because you're getting a boost without a doubt. So add Ezekiel Tovar. I can't believe he's only 62% owned. Look, I'd love to sneak another guy in here, but unfortunately, you're just going to have to wait. But I could give you a little preview of what you're sticking around for. We got Jordan Beck and talking about how he's been great. And does he actually have long-term value? We got Will Benson, who just can't stop hitting home runs no matter what we do. And then we got a guy that can't stop stealing bases coming up all after this. Okay. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious. Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is the highest protein nut. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help you keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the new shell variety. It's the perfect grab and go snack for a busy day. Whether I'm snacking at my desk or on a road trip, you just need a quick protein boost. They're always my go-to, and they truly are. I love it. I got kids. You barely get a time to, even just go to the bathroom by yourself. So it's even better that I don't have to crack open a shell and just get that protein source. And if you love cracking open a shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell option is just a classic favorite, which it always is. Get snacking, get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. All right, all right. Let's get into this. Let's talk about Jordan Beck of the Colorado Rockies, who's been incredibly hot as of late. Beck is literally has over this last week 7 runs, 2 bombs, 3 ribs, a stolen base batting 273. Over the last 2 weeks, 11 runs, 3 bombs, 5 ribs, a stolen base batting 265. The month is looking phenomenal. 22 runs, 8 home runs, 15 ribs, 2 stolen bases, batting 289. Putting together a nice month. Jordan Beck is interesting for me. I don't know how much I like him for the long term. You look at the prospect pedigree and what he did in 23, where he had 25 home runs through 487 at bats, batting 271 that year, along with 20 stolen bases. Gets you all excited and things like that for when he's performing at this level. But the fact that he hasn't done it in 2 years kind of gets me scared. In 24 in the minors, I guess he was had a mix of being in the bigs and mix of you know maybe not getting the full opportunity to play, whether it was injury or such, but put together about like 384 at bats in total, but did not do much with that opportunity. 8 home runs in the minors with a 316 batting average, then got to the bigs and just completely choked with a 188 batting average. Only managed to get 3 home runs, but the stolen bases were there with 7 of them. 20 and then 25 in the minors, just battling a horrible batting average at 143 in the minors, then coming back up into the bigs, doing much better. So we'll see. Maybe there was an adjustment that needed to be made. Right now, I'm adding him regardless of the fact because he's hot and he's also hitting in chorus quite often, and that's the key part. He's playing Philly at home, so he's in Coors Field for the next 3 days. He's instantly an ed in those regards, just because at any given moment that ball can go over the fence. Jordan Beck is a must-add for that. And let's see what happens if he can keep this hot streak going. All I'm going to be doing is just, you know, going on cruise control with an automatic start and just pretty much just saying,
"Hey, how you doing?"
So 100% Jordan Beck just needs to be added now. Again, 21% owned. Just ride the wave and let's see where this journey takes us.
Yeah, Matt, and Beck's up to the leadoff spot. I love it. We talked about Tovar's back. Tovar's hitting right behind him, and Hunter Goodman's right behind that. We all know how good Hunter Goodman's been. He's been a big Locked On podcast guy in 2025. But yeah, add Jordan Beck almost everywhere, to be honest with you, especially in those 5 outfielder leagues, those deeper leagues. He's only 21% owned. The underlying stuff I wanted to talk about too, it all looks really, really good for Beck. The power stuff looks great. Striking out a bit too much, but hey, we could deal with that because the sprint speed looks great. So the power and speed is legit. The batting average looks legit. X batting average for underlying stuff looks at 270, and he's hitting 265. So we're right on the mark for that. I think he can keep it up. I really do. And especially if he's in this leadoff spot, those runs are going to go up. As Matt talked about over the last month, 22 runs. Love that for a guy like Jordan Beck. Pretty much a universal ad for me right now anyway. I would pretty much pick him up anywhere you need outfield help because the kid's going to contribute. Let's move on to this next guy. Matt, you mentioned it. It's Will Benson, and he is back. I have to double check, Matt. I think it was 23. I don't think it was last year. It could have been last year, but I don't think it was, where Will Benson was kind of doing the same thing. He was showing off the power. He was showing off the speed. The kid can hit, Yes, it was. So I am correct. It was in 23 where Benson did have a strong year. 108 games for Benson in 23, 287 at-bats, 51 runs, 15 doubles, 8 triples, 11 homers, 31 RBIs, 19 steals, and he had 275. I mean, the kid's good. It's just tough for him in Cincinnati to always have the playing time, because Cincinnati, obviously great farm system, had a bunch of kids come up over the last few years, but Benson's forcing the hand. He the last, what is this, 1, 2, 3, 4 games, 5 homers, has homered in every single one, and then on the 18th in his last game, 2 homers. 9% owned. Definitely go out in 5 outfielder leagues, your NL onlys, those type of situations. He is a universal ad in those type of situations. As you get a little bit deeper, it gets tougher because I don't know if he's going to be out there every single day. He will cool off at some point. You don't expect him to just keep homering and homering and homering. But while he's hot, Will Benson is definitely a big ad for me, just because he can do this. It's not like a fluke. The kid can hit. So go out there, snag Benson in those those deeper leagues, shallower leagues, watch list them, and we'll go and see how he keeps performing.
Well said, man. I mean, I think Benson, will ride this while it's hot, like you said. And also too, I mean, this is not going to get ignored for long. The beauty of it is if he can keep this up for another week, the ownership percentage is going to fly right up. In the deeper leagues, you probably aren't going to find him out there like Dom said, but also if you already are an owner of him, I try and move him and try and get whatever you humanly can in those like 15-man leagues. In those shallow leagues, 12 and below, you're not going to get anything for him. But those 15-man leagues or those, weird contrarian leagues where like you just more hitter, leaning than pitcher leaning, perfect guy to kind of send off and kind of get a trade done. You're not going to be able to get him for a full out stud, but you are going to be able to get him in general. But, in, shower leagues, you're going to add him and you're just going to ride this wave until he pretty much pops. Let's move on. Let's talk about Chandler Simpson. Literally the new Mr. Steal Your Girl. The dude in the minors had 104 stolen bases in a single season back in 24 last year, along with batting 355. And it looks like he's picking up right where he left off. And this year, he's already in the bigs batting 301. He has 9 stolen bases through 93 at bats. And it's just like straight killing it. You know, 15 runs, 4 doubles, 9 ribs. Like he even walked 4 times to 12 strikeouts. He is in every kind of, I guess, scoring system in terms of fantasy baseball. He's good for points because he's giving you positive numbers there. He's not striking out a lot. He's hitting doubles. He's getting on base. He's stealing bases and he's getting driven in. These are all positive signs for for points leagues. And then for, Roto head to head, he's actually improving your batting average. He's a stolen base specialist and he's getting driven in. Now, he's not like he's more valuable, I feel, in points leagues because there's more ways he can contribute on a daily. But in roto leagues, if you're, in the deficit and you've either lost a stolen base guy or just they're not performing to the level that you need it to be, Simpson could step in and just be that guy and be an everyday starter to go out there and possibly get you a stolen base. 99th percentile sprint speed. The kid is just out there doing his thing. He needs to be owned more. And let's just do it. Add Chandler Simpson now.
Man, I'm with you. I love me some Chandler Simpson. I think D. Gordon, for you older, fantasy baseball players, that's who he reminds me of pretty much to the T. He's going to help you a lot in batting average, runs, stolen bases, even 9 RBIs in 25 games isn't atrocious. He's getting a couple of them in there. And let me tell you guys this. He's tied for the 3rd fastest guy in baseball. He's right behind Bobby Witt. And surprisingly, Byron Buxton's still out there being the 2nd fastest man in baseball. Is shocking at the age of 31 years old. But Chandler Simpson tied for 3rd with Victor Scott of the Cardinals. This kid's one of the fastest guys in the game. He's going to steal your bases, batting average, runs, 27% owned on Yahoo. Another must add. I actually love the names for today, guys. All these guys are legit must adds, and Chandler Simpson is near the top. Don't worry about the little injury, hand issue. Took an awkward slide in the last game. He was available off the bench today on Sunday, though, so he's going to be fine. So definitely still must add him. The last name, if you stuck around, he's a very familiar one. It's Jackson Holliday, finally starting to get hot over here. It's taken him a little bit of time. We always say progression isn't linear, and I believe the kid is only 20 years old. So he might even be 19, if I'm mistaken over here. But the last few games, he's heating up. On May 16th, 3 for 5 with an RBI. May 17th, 2 for 5 with a home run, 3 RBIs. Today, as we're recording, 2 for 4 with a homer, only 1 RBI. But listen, the kid's catching fire. He's down to 57% owned on Yahoo. Kind of shocking that, we're not really giving the kid his due diligence because even on the year, he's hitting 269 with 5 homers, 16 RBIs, 2 steals, 14 runs over 39 games played. Not the sexiest numbers, but he's still holding his own. The kid just needs a little bit more time, and it looks like he's starting to find his stride. I wouldn't be shocked if the kid finishes the year on a heater and is just a really, really great player for fantasy teams down the stretch. Add him now.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I look at him and I go, let's just like have some positives and be patient too. Like everybody kind of expected him to be an instant impact kind of prospect, and that isn't always the case, even with the pedigree of Jackson Holliday. Like it just sometimes just does not happen that way. And the thing about Jackson Holliday is this: he is hitting, he's putting the bat to the ball. Even in a bad month of May, he batted 247. Now he takes it to the next step in May and goes through his progressions. Like Dom said, getting hot, and he's batting 301 and managing to bring his average all the way up from 247 on last month to now 269. I love it. He had a 2-dinger game. He is starting to catch heat. This is a guy you cannot sleep on. And honestly, maybe even try and go out there and trade for him. He's another guy out there that I'm trading for too, because they're probably disappointed for the price they had to pay for him. And they're probably like, ooh, this is a good time. I can kind of get some value. You're not going to have to give up much. And then by the end of the season, you're looking like a genius and that kid's looking like an idiot. So for that, Jackson Holliday, phenomenal. And right now. So, guys, please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review, do everything you can to share this podcast because we love doing it. And don't forget to get in on that inside track, and the links in the description below. You get a free 2 weeks. When you're done, check out our boy Sully over at Locked On MLB. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Peace.
Yeah.